This is the brand new 8BITDO wired pro controller for Xbox and PC. I'm letting you know all the features on it, and by the end of it, I'm letting you know if it's worth the 45 bucks or not. So grab a cold drink, grab a snack, and let's get started. First off the rip, let's talk about the look of this controller. Is it me, or does this thing look like an old school PlayStation 2 controller? 8BITDO bringing back a PlayStation controller for the Xbox console, first of all. But let's get off of that. Let's talk about the wired. This is wired for you that didn't know. Not only is it wired, it's a non-detachable wire. So if you like to be able to put your controller up without the wire connected to it to make it look more cosmetically appearing to the eye, you don't have that option. You kind of got to roll it up like the old PlayStation 2 controllers and throw it in a drawer. So that, I'm not too fond of it personally. I understand the reason for it. They did that so that there's, you know, the wires last longer. Now we'll compare it to the Xbox controller. You can see it here, the Xbox controller and the PlayStation. We're gonna call it a PlayStation controller, honestly. Literally, that's what I'm doing. They are completely different looking. Even when it comes to the button layout, look at the joysticks on the 8BITDO controller versus the joysticks and the D-pad on the Xbox controller. They are, I mean, literally the 8BITDO controller is set up like a PlayStation controller. So it actually did take a little bit of time for me to get used to that because I've been playing Xbox literally for like 15 years now. It did get a little bit of getting used to. Once I got used to it, it wasn't that big of a deal. I still personally did not like the layout of the joysticks with the D-pad just because I'm used to the way the Xbox felt. Okay, the features on this controller, guys, as we were talking about the look of it, let's keep on the outside and start with the outside. You have the 3.5mm jack. It is located on the bottom controller as usual, and right underneath that you see the little switch for the toggle mute and unmute switch for your headset. Now if you're using a wired headset and you're going to take your headset off to go to the bathroom, don't know why you can't just mute it when you put your hand to your headset, but that's just me. Moving on, you have your profile button down here by the right joystick. Now if you hold this button and press up and down on your D-pad, that controls the game volume. If you press left and right, it also controls the chat volume. So again, hold the profile button down. The profile button is as it sounds. It is for your profile. So when you set your buttons up and all that, you can have a certain profile here. I'll show you how to do that when we get into that feature here in a few minutes. And of course it has a share button because it is a next gen console PlayStation 2 controller. Can't get over it, I have to keep calling it that. And it also has a star button located to the left joystick right beside it. Now if you hold any button, the X, Y, B, A, or even left button, right button, and left stick in and right stick in, you can actually swap anything around. So say for instance, you like the Y where the A is and A where the Y is. If you hold those two buttons at the same time and press the star button, this will literally swap them around. Now this feature goes away as soon as you turn off the console or turn off the controller, unplug it or anything, and they go back to default. But it's kind of a cool feature if you're into that and you can't get a button layout the way you like it in a particular game and you want to switch buttons around yourself. That is a pretty simple, quick, and easy way to do it. And if you flip the controller over to the back, we have the P1 and P2 button, PP. Now these buttons can be programmed to any button on the controller with the Ultimate software app by 8BITDO. You can find this on Android or Apple. Make sure you go to the description below. I'll go ahead and drop a link for you guys also for this controller as well. Talking about the app, let's get into the app and see what the kind of features you have in it. It's actually a pretty cool app, the features, and it's weird how you connect the app to your phone. Let me show you. All right guys, so let's open the app and get right into it. So very first thing is you have to allow this to connect to your phone wirelessly. That's right guys, you gotta let this thing connect to your phone wirelessly. There's wireless software in this, so why is it just not a wireless control? I'm not sure. Maybe it's just some different kind of wireless where it's cheaper. I don't know, but it's just kind of weird that I can connect this wirelessly to my phone to set it up, but I can't connect it wirelessly to play. I can't even play wirelessly on my phone. If I click to use Ultimate software, the profile button located to your right of your joystick, like we talked about it, and you'll have these two options come up. You have your button mapping and settings. Let's go into your button mapping first, and we'll go from there. So as you can see, we're going to the front of the controller. You literally, this is kind of cool now, you literally can change any button on your controller to any other button on your controller other than your typical Xbox and your share button. But let's say for instance you want the B button to be the home button. You can change that and then hit the sync to controller at the bottom right, and that will actually make it like that. That is pretty cool. Let's change that back to B so we don't have no issues there. And then this is also how you set up your P1 and your P2. You go to the back, and as you can see, I've already got mine set up, but you would literally just click on it, click on what button you want it to be associated with, and then hit back, or once you hit it, it'll come back, and then hit sync to controller. It'll light up blue on the bottom right-hand side. Once you're done with that, you set those up. You can hit previous if you want. You can go into more settings, and this is just literally bringing up everything you were just looking at just on one page. So you have your mapping like you had on the other page, but this is stick. So this right here is stick sensitivity. So you literally have the capability to going into the app and changing your stick sensitivity. Now this is cool, but also unnecessary in my personal opinion. The only time I would change this is for a first-person shooter game, and quite literally every first-person shooter game I've ever played, this option's in the menu. So it's cool, but feel like it's unnecessary. Triggers as well, you have a sensitivity on your triggers. Now, I turned these all the way down because I maybe felt like I would get more of a shorter reset time on my triggers. I'm not really sure if that really worked or not. The controller felt okay to me and everything, but you can play around with these and see how they work. For me, I'd rather just have the on and off switch on the back of the controllers, like your Razors or your PowerA Infinity controllers or something like that. The next thing is vibrations. Now you have vibrations by your triggers and also in the bottom of the controllers. I turn on mine off all the time because I just don't like them on there. And the last thing is just for firmware and language and all that. So that's all there is to the app itself. So my final thoughts on the controller is it's not a bad controller for $45. I didn't really find anything wrong with it. It felt good to me. It felt okay to me. I didn't feel like it was really cheap or anything like that. It felt pretty good built. I didn't like the layout of it just because PlayStation 2 controller layout, and I like my Xbox controller layout the way it is because of the size of my hands and stuff. And I'm just so used to a Xbox controller because I've been playing on it for so many years. But if something like that doesn't bother you, then it's an okay controller. But for me, I'm gonna stick with the Infinity PowerA controller right here. If you haven't seen that, make sure you check that out. We're almost at 500 subs, guys, so hit that sub button, help us get there. And if you like the video, hit the like button. And as always, guys, be safe. Merry Christmas. Until next time, later.